Hello, once again, it's Black Vader with another reading from the code. We're finishing off area 8, sex, and we're just going to get into it. We're on page 350 today, and yeah, you can get the code at producejustice.com, written by Neely Fullers Jr. It goes into the 9 areas of human activity dominated by white supremacy: economics, education, entertainment, law, labor, politics, what else? Religion, sex, war, and counterwar. So, like I said, you can get it at producejustice.com. Make sure you like the page as well. We've been going into the code. We're going to finish off Area 8 today. And I believe next month we're going to roll into war/counter-war. And then that's going to be the ride for this. So it's been great doing this, but I really feel like, we've been productive. So we have to continue to do so until the wheels fall off. So God bless everyone who's a part of this, and let's continue to do so. Page 350. Some general suggestions to non-white males and females. Do not engage in sexual intercourse and or sexual play with any white person in order to best help to end white supremacy racism in a swift, efficient, and correct manner. This suggestion is an absolute necessity. Do not keep secret any act of sexual intercourse or so-called homosex or lesbianism that you have engaged in with any white person. Be willing to tell all and do so in a manner that is directed against the system of white supremacy. Do not allow your offspring to ever see you in direct sexual intercourse situation, bed, etc. with any person except the same non-white person with whom you produced that particular offspring. Do not keep any secret information that you know about a white person who has had or is having sexual intercourse with a non-white person, but do not reveal the names of the non-white person involved without their permission. Do not produce offspring until you can adequately food, clothe, and shelter them with very little help from others, and until you are ready, willing, and able to teach them in great detail about racism, white supremacy, what it is, how it works in all of the 9 areas of activity. While waiting for or looking for your personal choice of a mate of the other complementary sex, use your time and energy to learn all that you can about everything in the known universe that is of constructive value. Also use what you learn to try to make yourself as confidently self-reliant and as constructively non-dependent on others as you possibly can. Do not regard any constructive work as something in the way that is keeping you from doing more important things. Regard all time and energy spent doing constructive work as a normal part of your growth as a constructive person. Seek to make all constructive work entertaining. Do not do anything that you have reason to believe will result in you being put into greater confinement, jail, prison, stockade, etc., against your will or against your own plan. Do not think about or make plans for so-called marriage as long as white supremacy exists. Instead, use your time and energy as much as possible in constructive learning, school, experiences, observations, study, etc., to try to become as self-supporting as possible under conditions of white supremacy. Constantly test your ability to function constructively while in the presence of extremely difficult white people and or non-white people, particularly in job situations. Do this by minimizing unnecessary contact, saying only that which is necessary and constructive, and avoiding all trivial conversation. Be cordial without being silly. Make all conversation short and constructive. Do not gossip. Do not hesitate to say thank you or excuse me. Do not participate in joke telling. Do not talk about your sexual experiences except for necessary medical or legal reasons. Do not be insulting. Do not use profanity or vulgarity. Seek to use some time to think about constructive problem solving. Prefer to have your meals alone and in silence. Constructively feed your body and your mind. Do not use any time or energy planning to attract or find a mate. Use all time and energy to learn all that you can that will help you become more self-reliant and best help you to end white supremacy racism. And replace it with justice, balance between people. As long as white supremacy exists, the correcting most efficient way for a non-white female to attract and or find a mate that is worthy of the title of care mate is to end white supremacy and replace it with justice. Until then, expect all of your so-called mateships to be seriously flawed. Do not visit people or deliberately seek to meet with people except to do one or more of the following. Help to do constructive work such as producing, cleaning, repairing, etc., something of constructive value, including providing and or receiving something in support of healthcare, etc. Exchange views about what to do to end racism, white supremacy, and or about what to do to produce justice. Necessary food, drink, or shelter. Engage in sexual intercourse, but no more than 2 times in 7 days. If you are a female, do not agree to have casual, constructive, personal conversation with a non-white male that you meet without limiting your interactions with him to the following. 1. Ask him if he is currently constructively employed. If he is not constructively employed, tell him that you will talk to him, but only about ways and means of helping him to become constructively employed. 3. If he is currently constructively employed, tell him that you will talk to him about how to produce or maintain the system, maintain something of constructive value, and how to end racism, white supremacy, and how to produce justice, balance between people. Avoid talking to any person except for the following reasons. 1. Teaching and or learning how to produce, transfer, clean, or repair something of constructive value in order to best help to end racism and best help to produce justice. 2. To establish a constructive socio-sexual relationship with a non-white person in order to best help to accomplish the aforementioned. To accomplish the aforementioned, item 1. Ask yourself and others, is there any constructive reason why any non-white person would want to listen to what I have to say? If so, what is that constructive reason? 2. Is there any constructive reason for any person, white or non-white, to want to have sexual intercourse with me? If so, what is that constructive reason? Engage in sexual intercourse or sexual play only with non-white people that do not depend on you or need support from you other than sexual intercourse with you, but no more than 2 times every 7 days. Explanation. During the existence of white supremacy racism, and according to compensatory counter-racist logic, there is no way that non-white males can protect, defend, or support any person, creature, or thing without the direct or indirect protection, defense, support, and approval of racist men and racist women, white supremacists collectively. Note, during the existence of white supremacy, and according to compensatory counter-racist logic, it is correct for every non-white male to regard every non-white female who agrees to have sexual intercourse with him as having done him an unearned favor. Do not expect to have harmony in any arrangement that you have with your chosen mate of the opposite, complementary sex. Do not expect to have anything better than a mutual agreement on a few matters. Because of the conflicting values that non-white males and females are taught while subject to white supremacy, they can have mutual agreements, but they cannot, under white supremacy, achieve harmony. Under white supremacy, the conflicts between non-white males and non-white females are built into the educational and socio-material process that dictates the ways that they are forced to interact with each other. Non-white males and non-white females should know that they will have conflict with each other as long as white supremacy exists. They should prepare in advance to minimize that conflict by minimizing non-constructive or aimless contact. When arguments start, try to minimize conflict by minimizing all unnecessary contact. When arguments start that result from failure to have harmony, temporarily agree not to talk to each other. Do not stay in the immediate presence of each other. Do not send messages to each other. Do not talk about each other to others in a derogatory way. Do not contact each other without a very constructive reason, a plan for doing so. Non-white males, do not fight, hit, strike, or otherwise do any bodily harm to any non-white female except in direct emergency defense against non-just bodily harm to self or others and or in direct emergency protection of major necessary possessions. Do not name call them, ever, bitch, slut, harlot, tramp, etc. Do not, regardless of what they say or do, call each female person lady and or by the names and or titles that she asks you to call her. Do not resort to name calling any persons, male or female, white or non-white, no matter how many times they name call you. Do not engage in any act of sexual intercourse with any female except a non-white female. And unless you are ready, willing, and able to deliberately volunteer to her all information about what you have done in all matters pertaining to sexual intercourse, sexual play, anti-sexual homo-sex activity, including times and places, but do so without naming any females by name or title unless those persons were white. Do not engage in sexual intercourse with any non-white female unless you reveal to her that she will most likely or not be the last person that you will have sexual intercourse with as long as she exists and willing and able to have sexual intercourse with you. Do not tell non-white females about any act of sexual intercourse that you... do tell non-white females about any act of sexual intercourse that you've had with a white female. Do not do physical harm, violence, or threaten to do physical harm to any non-white females because of your dissatisfaction with her sexual conduct, either with yourself or with another person. Either tolerate her conduct or seek another non-white female that you are less dissatisfied with. Make a maximum effort to speak and act effectively to stop the harm that is being done to non-white females. Speak and act to put a stop to fighting them, taunting them, name-calling them, being discourteous to them, belittling them, raping them, killing them, or helping to deprive them of that which they should have, and forcing them to do more with less. Do all that you can to be constructively supportive. Minimize or avoid entirely the wearing of any unnecessary body or ornaments, chains, foot ornaments, ankle ornaments, finger ornaments, ear ornaments, nose ornaments, neck ornaments, etc. Wear such ornaments only for purposes of attracting attention to yourself for reasons that are specifically and totally constructive. Avoid doing anything for the purpose of showing off or for reasons that do not produce a constructive result. Avoid arranging your hair for attention-getting purposes. Note: when a non-white male, while subject to the system of white supremacy, begins to understand what is important and what is not important, he will not need to wear unnecessary body ornaments or to deliberately attract unnecessary attention to himself. If a chosen female mate or companion suddenly and without warning or apparent reason rejects you as a partner in intimate affection and or sexual intercourse, do not, because of her rejection, vent rage at her, seek to torment her, and or in any manner seek to do mental or physical harm to her. Keep your distance from her, and if for any reason you are ever in her presence, be courteous and constructive in all of your speech and action, regardless of any disdainful thoughts that you may have of her. Do not try to dictate, boss a non-white female in order to try to prove your manhood to her. Do not curse her. Do not pretend that you are somehow entitled to demand anything of her. Always refer to every non-white female as a female and or lady. Refer to white female as a female, a lady, or a woman. Do not make any demands of non-white females. Make requests. Do not speak and or act as if you are the boss of any female known in the universe. Ask but do not demand that she do or not do what you think should be done or not done in your general interactions with each other. Do not speak and or act as if you have the power to do anything with, for, or against any female person in the known universe without the direct or indirect permission or approval of those white people who practice white supremacy, racism. Speak and act as if you understand that the white supremacist racist man and racist woman collectively are the actual bosses of all non-white females, as well as all non-white males, either directly or indirectly, in all areas of activity, as long as white supremacy exists. Do not blame non-white females for what they do or say as a result of their contact with white men and white women, particularly in regards to matters pertaining to sexual intercourse, homo or lesbian sex, anti-sex education, entertainment, and religion. It's not a non-white female's fault. Avoid doing or saying anything that is intended to belittle or insult any person, white or non-white, male or female. If you think that your chosen mate deserves to be belittled, there is no logical or constructive reason why your chosen mate should be your chosen mate. Do not fight, curse, name call, or seek to make hardship for any non-white female who boldly or quietly shows that she enjoys or prefers being used by white men sexually or in some other manner that is derogatory or non-constructive. Instead, direct all counter-racist speech and action toward and against the racist white supremacists themselves, not against their so-called their non-white female victims. According to compensatory logic, no person can correctly claim so-called ownership of another person. The only owner of any person is the creator, all power of the known universe and of all people. As a non-white male, it is incorrect to regard yourself as qualified to demand that non-white females follow your leadership in anything that is said and done in any area of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, or war / counter-war. In all situations, it is better to ask than to demand. As a non-white male, many requests that you make should be made to those white men and white women whom you have reason to believe are racist, suspected, white supremacists within the system of white supremacy. It is correct that you make certain that you request will be effective in helping to produce justice, balance between people, and correctness, balance between people, creatures, things, etc. It is the non-white females who receive the least constructive compensatory support in helping them to correctly care for themselves and their offspring. It is non-white females, when burdened with a child within their bodies, have been the most abused and have been given the least support while in the weakened condition of childbearing. Because of the abuse that non-white females suffer, their offspring suffer, and the offspring of their offspring suffer. It is incorrect for any people, white or non-white, to demand that non-white females submit to their leadership. Considering that non-white males have so far failed to protect themselves and so far failed to protect non-white females from being dominated and mistreated by racist men and racist women, non-white males should be totally opposed to demanding anything of non-white females. Considering the long-term and total subjugation, misuse, abuse, and general trashing of non-white females by racist men and racist women, every non-white male in the known universe should not think of himself as a man or expect to be regarded as a man. And that is the end of Sex, Area 8. Thank you guys for reading. There's so much we could talk about within this, but, I think Neely just said it all himself. Thank you guys for being a part of this. And let's continue to be on code and be constructive as much as we can every single day. And go over his code all the time. I like calling this the new Bible because not everyone, uses what they learned from the entire Bible. A lot of people just pick and choose what parts that work for them. And I even believe with the code, if we pick and choose what works for us, it'll carry over to the other areas of activity, whether it be a page, the whole book, or whatever. You choose what works for you. I believe using the whole code is the best thing we can do, like the Bible, but not everyone follows it. We just try our best to be the best universal man and universal woman that we can be. So this is my part as a black male or a non-white male to do the best that I can for the non-white females and the non-white males in our society. I'm not a perfect person. No one is. We're all victims of white supremacy, whether we want to believe it or not. Everyone has a boss. And who's our boss? Who's the world's boss? You know what I mean? Is it a black man and a black woman? Absolutely not. Who controls the top? Who's been controlling people for these hundreds of years? Who's been controlling whether we can breathe, whether we can go, where we can sleep, where we can do? You need, just to travel, you need a passport. And who do you go to? The white supremacists. If you need an education, who do you go to? The white supremacists. If you need to talk to somebody, who do you go to? The white supremacists. We need them for all areas of activity because they control everything within all areas of activity. And there's so little of them, but they've had this power for so long. So if you're a non-white male or non-white female, find you someone that gets on code and you guys just work on being on code. That's all you guys have to do. And that's it. Thank you guys for being a part of this. God bless everyone, white or non-white, who believes in justice and love. It's Black Vader, aka I am Michael, or Michael, whatever. God bless y'all. Peace. Here we go.